And we're back. And we're going to be today. We're going to be reading the Holy Tablets, and we're going to read Tablet 11 of Chapter 1, the Creation. And we're at the firmaments right now. The firmaments. It says, "Lo, now the selected 24 Anunnaki Elohim, of which 12 were agreeable and 12 disagreeable, commanded the firmament, which is the astral, to be in the middle of the solar system between Mumu, Mercury, Lahamu, Venus, Tamat, Earth, and Lamu, Mars, Kasha, Jupiter, Asha, Saturn, Anu, Uranus, and Ea, Neptune. The two sets of planets with water in the heavens above and the heavens below. So that would separate the waters on the planet which is below from the water on the other planets above and the clouds. And the Anunnaki made an arch firmament, an asteroid belt in the sky, as a necklace to the dawn visible, which is above the planet's atmosphere, and separated the two waters, one which was beneath the beaten out firmament, Mumu, Mercury, Lahamu, Venus, Tamat, Earth, and Lamu, Mars, from the others, which was above Kasha, or Jupiter, Ansha, Saturn, Anu, Uranus, and E, Neptune. And this happened. And the Anunnaki named the firmament skies, and the dust period and the new second day of the 7,000 years was over, and the 24 selected one of each hour of one earth day. The Anunnaki sat in a circle and said amongst each other, the waters beneath the skies are to be brought together as one mass, as oceans, rivers, streams, and lakes, and let the dry land be seen. And this happened. And the Anunnaki called out the key. The planet Earth would be called Adama, dry brown ground, and land mass called Ki. And the Mayim, called waters, that were gathered together, they call the Yom, or Yam, who was the brother of Baal and ruled the seas of Tamat. And the Anunnaki saw that things this way were agreeable, and said, in the name of El Elo, the appointed, who is due all gratitude, the only true sustainer of the sustainers of all the balanced universe, the caring, the loving. When all things end, is up to Anu, who is Elyon, Elyon, El, Elyon, Elyon, El. Alone is to be worshipped, and we ask Elyon, Elyon, El for help alone. Elyon, Elyon, El guides us to the right way, the ways of those 12 agreeable Anunnaki, not the way of the 12 disagreeable Anunnaki, nor the ways of those who were 200 agreeable and went astray. And the Anunnaki said amongst each other, the planet Earth should now spread buds, growing herbs with seeds in them, in order to yield new seeds, and a fruit tree should grow with seeds in them from the land mass. And this happened. And so the planet Earth did bring forth grass and herbs with seeds in themselves, great trees within itself. And the Anunnaki saw that things this way were agreeable. And the dust period and the new day of 7,000 years was over. And the 24 selected counselors of the original Elohim, who are called Anunnaki, said amongst each other, let the light exist in the skies in order to separate the daylight hours from the shadow hours. Daylight was called agreeable. 12 selected seraphim, and the shadow hours was called agreeable, and 12 cherubims. You have your 24 disagreeable and agreeable. And let them be as signals of the seasons, of days and years and time for the planet. 24 hours in a day, 24,000 years in an equinox, as illuminating lights in the sky to shine light from the planet Earth. And this happened. And the Anunnaki caused the older and brighter light to be seen in the sky in order to overpower the daytime. The symbol of the agreeable was the star as a great surface of life. The sun shone ever so brightly from the pure darkness, the very first state before light made things seen, and the younger light, the lesser brightness, to be seen in through the shadow hours. The symbol of the disagreeable was the crescent moon, which is ruled by the sun. The symbol of the disagreeable is the crescent moon, which is ruled by the sun. They also made many other suns as stars visible, and the Anunnaki made them appear in the skies in order to shed light on the planet Earth, and to overpower the day, the shadow hours called night, and to separate the daylight from the shadow hours. And the Anunnaki saw that things this way were agreeable, and the dust period and the new fourth day of 7,000 years was over. And they said, and for everything there is a time. Everything that will happen in this new world will happen on time. And they set the 12 signs in the skies called the cosmic clock, or Baruch, giving 12 periods broken into 4 seasons, bringing in the signs of the end of one age and the beginning of another. Thus, everything that will happen in the new world will happen when El wishes it to happen. El sets the time for birth and the time for death, the time for planting and the time for pulling up, the time for what's dead and the time for what is healed, a time for building and a time to tear down that which was built, a time for joy and a time for sorrow, a time for mourning and a time for dancing and music, a time to make love and a time not to make love, a time to kiss and a time not to kiss, a time to find things and a time for losing, a time to save and a time to throw away, a time to speak and a time to remain silent. These are the laws on times. This is what they taught the Magi on time. You would adjust your conduct and even direct the course of your spirit according to hours and seasons. Of time, you will make a stream upon whose bank you would sit and watch it flowing. Yet the timeless in you is aware of life's timelessness and knows that yesterday is but today's memories and tomorrow is today's dreams. And that which sings and contemplates in you is still dwelling within the bounds of that first moment which scattered the stars into space. Who among you does not feel that his power to love is boundless, and yet who does not feel that very love through boundlessness encompassed within the center of his being, and moving not from love through love thought to love, nor from love deeds to other love deeds, and is not time even as love is undivided and spaceless. But if you in your thoughts you must measure time into seasons, let each season encircle all the other seasons, and let today embrace the past with remembrance and the future with longing. And the Anunnaki said amongst each other, let the waters breed abruptly all kinds of swimming creatures that is to live, and birds are to fly above the planet Earth in the skies. And the Anunnaki recreated Tanim, the dragon sea serpents as sea dinosaurs, and all living spirits, amoebas, algae, fungi that swim, which the waters breathe from itself, and all the winged birds, Petrodoctors, from themselves. And the Anunnaki saw that these things this way were agreeable, and the Anunnaki put their blessings on them all by saying, procreate and multiply, and refill the waters and the seas, and the birds are to multiply in the planet Earth. And the dust period, and the new fifth day of another 7,000 years was over. And the Anunnaki said to each other, let the planet Earth bring forth living spirits from itself, non-speaking mammals and reptiles, and also living on the planet Earth. And this happened. And the Anunnaki made to evolve all the living animals that appeared on the planet Earth breed from themselves, and non-speaking mammals breed from themselves, and all the creeping things upon the planet Earth breed from themselves. And the Anunnaki saw all things this way were agreeable. And we're going to continue and go to the next. It's called the next tablet, tablet 12. It's called the new being. The new being. I want you to get a pen and paper and take notes so you will be able to understand those things that people didn't want to take the time to learn. It says, tablet 12, the new beings. Lo, another being which was to be brought into being and recreated was the humans. From you, HU, the force of created will. These humans were to thrive to become supreme beings again. Also, there was the P.I.M.P, the animal man called you man. You man being descended from supreme to being, to supreme being, to human beings, to human, to man, to mammal, to animal, to beast. The kingdom of the skies was called Malakut. The blue planet was called Adrut. And the great kingdom of Mishram, also called Egypt, was originally called Kemet, after the constellation Kema in the Pleiades, one of the original homes of the Anunnaki, who are called Natiru by the Egyptians when they could no longer live in Ilium. The Anunnaki named it Neberki, the earth place of Nibiru and Nepal in Akkadia. It was ruled by Enlil before the pre-creation of Zaka and Nicabar. And on the other side was the evil ones in the land called Aranzak. They had a leader whose name was Anunnaki Dagon or Halal. He was the father of the disagreeable Anunnaki species. He is the head of the 200 fallen Nephilites or Yahwehians called Luciferians. Nephi being called Lucifer or Satan. Then there was Abstil. He was the teacher of the 200 fallen angels, went on Adrut. How to be human is what he taught them. And there is Gadriel, the killer. He taught that death was agreeable. To kill is best, but this is what the elders taught about death. You would know the secret of death, but how shall you find it unless you seek it in the heart of life? The owl, whose night-bound eyes are blind unto the day, cannot unveil the mystery of light. If you would indeed behold the spirit of death, open your heart wide unto the body of life, for life and death are one. Even as the river and Yam, the sea are one. In the depths of your hopes and desires lies your silent knowledge of the beyond. And like seas dreaming beneath the snow, your heart dreams of spring. Trust the dreams, for in them is the gate to eternity. Your fear of death is but the trembling of the shepherd when he stands before the king, whose hand is to be laid upon him in honor. Is the shepherd not joyful between his trembling, that he should wear the mark of the king? Yet is he not more mindful of his trembling? For what is it to die but to stand naked in the wind and to melt into the sun? And what is to cease breathing but to free the breath from its restless ties, that it may rise and expand and seek anew unencumbered? Only when you drink from the river of silence shall you indeed sing. And when you have reached the mountaintop, then you shall begin to climb. When Tamet, the planet Earth, shall claim your limbs, then shall you truly dance. So it says, and goes and said, he is the father of the disagreeable Anunnaki species. He is the head of the 200 fallen Nephilians, or Yahwehians, called Luciferians, Nephi being called Lucifer or Satan. This was Asbil. He was the teacher of the 200 fallen angels, went on a drought. How to be humans is what he taught them. And there was the drill, the killer. He taught that death was agreeable to kill. It is best. But this is what the elders taught about death. And Themo, the teacher of deeds, he taught how to trick humans into sin and how to disobey Hua and his wisdom. And Castia, the teacher of sorcery, these were the beings from the planet Procyon, called Nirvana, who came to Udrut, the blue planet, in the form of giants called Anakims. And their ruler and deity was a Hindu. They lived as Imans and dwelt in Udrut. And we, the Anarchy, came to Eridu from Malakut in Mu, which are chariots of light by way of Nibiru. 18 shams or ships having 50 passengers on each ship. The crystal city, also called the mothership, is made of amber and crystal, and 900 Anunnaki in all. And we will continue. We have a lot of work to do. This is supposed to be a special day. Every day is a special day. Every day is a continue of the yes today. Today is the now. So we continue chapter 13, the fashioning of Adam, also called Cadman. It says, lo, all those beings who are fashioned by the command of the Most High Anu, seek knowledge even unto the grave, if you but know what is good for you. I speak to you, you must take this knowledge with a full understanding. Listen to me, O beings of Adama. Anu, Elyon, most glorified and exalted, sent the angels from the four corners of the planet Earth to fetch soil for the flesh of your father, who was called Adam. For he was a earthling, and Zaka, for he is to remember. Yet his name is Cadman. To be fashioned at the four rivers, these wise Anunnaki scientists was Gabriel Saduk, Michael El Saduk, Israfel El Saduk, Israel Saduk, Anu, Elyon El, most glorified and exalted, then ordered the Elohim to bathe the soul of Cadman, which he created 1,000 years before the body, in the sea of glory which proceeded from himself, called Kothar. And he commanded it to illuminate his yet lifeless form. The soul hesitated, for it was unwilling to enter into the flesh. But Elyon El, most glorified and exalted, commanded, you must animate Cadman even against your will. And as the punishment of your disobedience, you shall one day be separated from him also against your will. This is speaking of humans being dying. And because the soul refused to come into the small shell to be imprisoned here, the body, Anu, Elyon, Elyon, El, most glorified and exalted, condemned him, and said, now the same soul will wish one day not to leave him when the angel of death comes. The anarchy or angel of death stood by, witnessed all these things with tears in his eyes. Anu, Elyon, Elyon, El, most glorified and exalted, told Israel, son of Anu, and Id, depart, for I have made you the anarchy, the angel of death. I have placed the taking of the soul of Cadman and his seed, the Adamites, in your power. At these words, Israel began weeping and saying, among you, children of Cadman, there will be news bearers who would undoubtedly hate me on this account. And I knew who is the Most High, Elyon, Elyon, El, rejoined, I shall send so many complaints and diseases upon the human beings. They shall not hate you, and their deeds, they shall not be a cause of grief to you. This means that human beings will be so preoccupied in the pleasures of this world that they shall not even notice death. It is said that the Anunnaki of death has a seat in the skies. Anu, Elyon, Elyon, El, most glorified and exalted, created it from light. One of his 2 feet is on the bridge of hell, and the other is on the seat, is his enclosed garden. It is said of his magnitude that where the water of the seas and rivers pour on his head, not a drop would fall on the planet Earth. It is said that if Anu, Elyon, Elyon, El, most glorified and exalted, put all the world near the anarchy of death, it would be like a table placed before a human being so that he might eat when he likes it. So the anarchy, the angel Elohim of death, turned the world of creatures about as a human being turns a coin. As for the knowledge of the end of the terms, when the transcript of death and illness for the slaves come to the Elohim of death, he says, my creator, when shall I take the ru'u, the soul of the slave? And in what form shall I lift it? El, may he be exalted, says, O Elohim of death, this is the knowledge of the unseen. None have knowledge of it except me. For I shall inform you of the arrival of his time, and make signs for you that you will overstand. The Anunnaki, who is in charge of their breath and deeds, will come to you and say, the breath of so and so is finished. The one who is in charge of his provisions and deeds will say, his provisions are finished and his deeds are well. If he is amongst the happy, his scroll carried by the Anunnaki, Elohim of death, will have on it his name with a line of gold light around it. If he is amongst the wretched, you will see around it a red line. The knowledge of that is not complete for the Anunnaki, Elohim of death, until a leaf falls on him from the tree which is beneath the throne, and the name of the one about to die is written on that leaf. Then the Anunnaki of death takes his nafs, which is the spirit. Michael will descend with a scroll to the Anunnaki, Elohim of death, from Anu, Elion, Elion El, most glorified and exalted. And on it is written the name of the one whose nafs or spirit he has commanded to be taken, the place in which the nafs is to be taken, and the cause of it being taken. 2 drops will fall from under the throne in the name of its owner. One is pink and the other is green. If a pink drop falls on the name, he knows that he is wretched and malevolent. If a green drop falls on the name, he knows that he is happy and benevolent. And this is what he taught of benevolence and malevolence. Of the benevolence that is agreeable, the good ones, in you I can speak, but not of the malevolence, disagreeable, the evil ones. For what is evil but good, tortured by its own hunger and thirst? Verily, when good is hungry, it seeks food, even in dark caves, and when it is thirst, it drinks even of dead waters. You are benevolent when you are one with yourself. Yet when you are not one with yourself, you are not malevolent. For a house divided is not a den of thieves. It is only a divided house. A ship without a rudder may wander aimlessly amongst perilous isles, yet sink not to the bottom. You are benevolent when you strive to give of yourself, yet you are not malevolent when you seek gain for yourself. For when you strive to gain, you are but a root of that clings to the planet Earth and sucks at her. The fruit cannot say to the root, be like me ripe and full, ever giving of your abundance. For to the fruit giving is a need, as receiving is a need to the root. You are benevolent when you are fully awakened in your speech, yet you are not malevolent when you sleep while your tongue staggers without purpose. And even stumbling speech may strengthen a weak tongue. You are good when you walk to your goal firmly and with bold steps. Yet you are not malevolent when you go thither limping. Even those who limp go not backwards. But you who are strong and swift, see that you do not limp before the lame, deeming it kindness. You are benevolent in countless ways. You are not malevolent when you are not benevolent. You are only loitering and slugging pity that the stages cannot teach swiftness to the turtle. In your longing for your gain itself lies your goodness. and that longing in all of you. But in some of you, that longing is a torrent, rushing with a might in the sea, carrying the secrets of the hillsides and the songs of the forest. And in others, it is a flat stream that loosens itself and angles and bends and lingers before it reaches the shore. But let not him who longs much say to him, long little, wherefore are you slow of hailing for the true benevolent, asking not the naked, where is your garment? As we continue to tablet 14, in our image and after our likeness, and we had mercy upon your kind, so we, the Anunnaki, said amongst ourselves, now let's breed by cloning people that are Homo sapiens of this Adama, or this planet Earth, the Adamites. Looking just like ourselves, the Anunnaki, having 9 ether hair and coating their genes in melanin, that they may act like ourselves with right knowledge. And we will give them rulership over the fish of the seas, all reptilians and birds of the skies, all gargoyles, and over the non-speaking mammals, beasts of the field, and all the creeping things that creep upon the planet Earth, and the Elohim Anunnaki to evolve all the domestic living animals that appear on the planet Earth breed for themselves, and all the creeping things upon the planet Earth breed from themselves. And the Anunnaki saw the things this way were agreeable. And the Anunnaki, Elohim, Ka'el, also known as Rudwan, and Uriel, son of Azariel, and Raphael, said, here, you have been given every herb with a yielding seed, which is on the surface of the whole planet Earth, and every tree which yields fruit and has its own seed to reproduce. All of this is for your food. And the Anunnaki, Nundamud, who is also called Inki, one appointed by El Elo for the breeding of Anunnaki, Ninti, daughter of Anu, procreated people, Homo sapiens, first called Nubans, then became Nubians of the Adamites. From the Homo erectus, which has 6 ether hair, and the original Anunnaki with 9 ether hair, to look like herself, using her own divine seed, Ninti given Nubians 9 ether and acting like herself. And the Anunnaki procreated them into one they call Adam, Zaka, who had 8 ether, and Nikabar, Hawa, who had 9 ether. This is how she, Ninti, procreated them of her own seed. And the Anunnaki blessed them. And the Anunnaki said to them, so that they would not have to move to Raphael, to Monadapa, now called Zimbabwe, to work as slaves in the gold mines upon until they die. Breed children and multiply, and refill the planet Earth, and keep it under control, and rule over the fish of the seas and the birds of the sky, and over all the life, and swim on the planet Earth, and every living animal of the planet Earth, and to whom bird of the skies, and to everything that swims on the planet Earth in which there is a living soul. Every green vegetation is for food. This supreme being, being appointed a vegetarian, not to eat of the blood of his creatures, but to maintain his olive hue by the chlorophyll of the herbs that is most abundant on the earth and beneath the earth, being born copper red to purify into olive green as you green ones. And thus this happened, and the Anunnaki saw all things that were fashioned, and here it was all very agreeable for them. And it was thus period, and the new sixth day of 7,000 years was over. So the skies and the planet Earth were prepared, and all the living beings of both of them. And the seventh day, the Anunnaki, Enki, who is also called Nudamud, finished his duty which he had done, and he desisted and kept the Sabbath in the seventh day from all his duties which he had done. And the Anunnaki Elohim blessed the seventh day, and he declared it Kadesh, or holy, because in it he desisted from all his duties which the Anunnaki had done. These Anunnaki are the genealogy of the skies, Rits of Elohim, the planet of another galaxy, and the planet Earth is called Ge. When they were reconstructing and procreating in the day that the Anunnaki was made, the planet Earth and its skies reappear, and planted every shrub of the parts of the outer field outside the enclosed garden before they actually grown, and every herb before it had sprouted seeds, because Yahuwah, who is the head of your Yowayan of the Elohim, the Anunnaki, had not made it rain upon the planet Earth. And Adamite Homo sapien was not there yet to be ab or slaves and work as miners of the ground. So a mist of water clouds ascended up from the planet Earth in order to irrigate as rain the whole surface of the ground where the seeds had been planted. And Yahuwah of the Elohim shaped Adam from Ninti's clot of granulated blood from the people of the ground. They gave Cadman the breath of divine life, and Adam was born a spirit. And Yahuwah of the Elohim ordered Arazul to build the foundation of the garden, and Ashnan, or Dakhia, who comes from the school of the Peacock under Murdoch, for the planting of the special enclosed garden of delight and pleasure. Over there he placed Adam, who was cloned, and from the same ground did the Yahweh, or Yahuwah of the Elohim, grow every tree and flower that was beautiful to the sight, and vegetation that was Toby, or good for food, and a special tree of hallucinating herbs in the center of the enclosed garden, under which is agreeable in the sight of Yahuwah, and that which was disagreeable in the sight of Yahuwah, giving one his own will power. And the Anunnaki said amongst themselves, indeed, we have made them in the constellation, and we have beautified them for the eyes of the beholders. And we have guarded it from all of the accursed reptilian serpents, the Luciferians, and the Nuctors, people who are from the deep. those jinn who disobey the laws of El Elo for human beings. He was of the Kafirun, yet he has stolen from it, and we curse Zuin as a visible flame, and thrown upon firm mountains, and we cause to grow in it everything well measured, and we have made for you therein means of sustenance, and for every other creature who you are not the sustenance. There is nothing except what is with us, Anunnaki, which are its treasure. And we do not send the winds fertilizing, and then we send down water from the sky. So we gave it unto you to drink of it, and it is not you that is its storage. Verily, only we and none else cause life and cause death, and we are the only heirs, and indeed we know those eager to be foremost amongst you, and we know those who are like to lag behind. And verily, El Elo, your Rab, who is the sustainer, he will gather them together. Verily, he is El Hakim, or the wise one, El Alim, or the one who knows. And indeed, we Anunnaki created enosites of black mud, fashioned and shaped. The jinns was created long before Adam of fire of Samaun or Samun, from that which we named Samael, son of Shachar, came from. To the others, Anarchy rulers, verily I'm going to create human tissues of the essence of black mud, fashioned into shape of the very dust of Adama or the ground. And they, the Nukters, wanted the remains of the black mud, which was kept safe in a 4x4 black box, which is now the Kaaba of Arabia. It is the Anunnaki who he assigned you a period of time to live on earth, created all of you from the clay, then only by you, yet you still harbor suspicions. It is, and its termination is known. So when I have completed him and breathed into him my own soul, then you are to fall down and prostrate before him. O Enosites, worship your sustainer who created you and those beings before you. Happily, you may guard yourself against disagreeableness, who made the earth a resting place for you, and thereby produced fruit for your sustenance, and the sky, a firm structure, and caused water to descend from heaven. Set you not therefore equals to him, while you already know, who created you looking like herself, Ninti, and acting like herself, Ninti, a female, Anunnaki, and controller of the Shimti laboratory. Put on your shield of protection against the deceivers. Many have gone into the world, and yet still many are not yet born. Ninti is the mother of your procreation, and before Zeus, women were recognized as mother deities. We have male born of females, yet we restrict them. All of the great prophets came through the canal of the females. Only in the reptile family do you find male transform into female and female transform into male by nature's call. Associate not with the man that respects not the woman. For even that man was conceived by woman, the mother simply the meter or matter. She reflects the light of properly lit sun in wisdom. She has four periods as the four phases of the moon. The moon that you see has no light of its own, but has mass and does exist in its pure state, darkness before chaos. Thus, her weakness comes from man. Darkness is pure, and the moon sits in darkness as an assistance to the earth, controlling her tides, as the moon, rightly called lunar, has an effect on the mental state of those who lean towards her, the lunatic. Let not the sensitivity of the apparent weakness of the woman alter your state of consciousness. Stay in control. If the moon ceased to pull upon the tides of the planet, it would overheat as the evening comes and be no more. If a man ceased to respond to the whims of a woman over and over responds to the emotional changes of a woman, he too will overheat, transform into a lunatic, and be no more. Gia is her name. She has been worshipped by the agreeable or disagreeable. But Bun, Bu, Lama, Bhuta, Ajustice, Aditi, Hindi, Hina, Kauchi, Luchi, Atar, Ma'at, Nafia, Sibtu, and Mat Rasul, Asit, Atis, Amphorate, Ati, Anatis, Adarti, Arak, Arianrod, Aruna, Kali, Artemis, Artio, Asasi, Ya, Arduna, Ya Maya, Azit, Ashara, Asiak, Bab, Katha, Athena, Atugan, Adaja, all mother deities in many tongues and places. We're gonna stop right there, and we're gonna come back to what we call the Sabbath, and we're gonna see what the Sabbath is, and we're gonna give you certain things to say about the Sabbath, so you go ahead and teach yourself, and then teach your duplication, teach your children, teach those of your aunt, which means you ain't the mother. When we say ain't the aunt, that means I'm not the mother, but your species is responsible for teaching and for clarification of what is by word of mouth, from mouth to ear, by teachings in your dwelling, in your home, or your house, or your apartment, whatever you want to call it right now, until you learn about how to reenact and get in the proper format of who you are on planet Earth and how you can use your abilities to rise up out of the trap